From lengthening mascara to smoky eyes, complete your fall look with Thrive Cosmetics. Go to thrivecosmetics.com/cozy for an exclusive offer of 20% off your first order. That's Thrive, CAUSEMETICS.com/cozy.
If you've struggled with stress, balance, or burnout, and simply feel discouraged or even defeated, and if you're ready to move from force to flow and enjoy ultimate Zen success in your career, health, or relationships, then the Zen Success Show is for you. Your host, Carissa Sims, is an entrepreneur, corporate consultant, best-selling author, meditation teacher, and healer who has found her own Zen success. Here's your host, Carissa Sims.
Welcome to this week's episode of Zen Success. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Dr. Mary Sanders. Let me share a little bit about Dr. Mary. And she's my neighbor. She's right in Boulder. We could have done this in the studio. Dr. Mary has over 25 plus years of experience as a self-employed businesswoman and consultant. Dr. Mary earned her doctorate in chiropractic from Logan College of Chiropractic in St. Louis, Missouri. She completed her certificate in positive psychology from the Wholebeing Institute in Lennox, Massachusetts, and studied under Dr. Tal Ben Shahar. In addition, she completed her master's in intuition medicine. Oh my God, that's amazing. From the Academy of Intuition Medicine. And I've never even heard of that. That's incredible. She is wholeheartedly committed to supporting women who want to transform the way they show up in this world and experience thriving health, happiness, and purpose, utilizing the tools of energy medicine, spiritual embodiment, and meditation. Dr. Mary is also the host of the internationally acclaimed podcast, Energy Medicine, where she talks about all things that align the mind, body, and spirit. Welcome, Dr. Mary.
Thank you so much, Carissa. Sincerely, the honor is mine to be a guest on your show. I just know and trust that our conversations and the way that we both think and operate is going to lead into a beautiful and juicy conversation today.
Ooh, I can't wait. And juicy. So we'll have to get juicy here with our conversation. I'm excited. And I've had the opportunity to be interviewed on Dr. Mary's show. So you'll have to check out her podcast and our interview as well. So I felt like we were both pretty vulnerable in that interview. It was really beautiful. I enjoyed it.
Carissa did a great job in that episode. I invite all of you listeners to check her out. She did a wonderful job explaining how there is a time and a place for conventional therapies, and then there's a time and a place to take that ownership, that empowerment of healing thyself. It was a really powerful episode. I felt honored to hold space for Carissa. She did a great job.
Oh my gosh. Thank you. Oh, I'm blushing. Well, I wanted to go into a little bit about how you work with your clients and just get your opinion. Do you feel that everyone can experience burnout in their lives?
I think the far majority of people do. I think, the research that's out there today, especially with the great resignation that we've gone through, when we all experienced COVID together, I believe that people are a little bit more honest with themselves as to what burnout looks like and what their boundaries are now.
I see. And how do you feel the great resignation or COVID helps with that awareness of being burnout? Like maybe they were burnout before, and then when COVID started, they kind of realized that maybe whatever life they were living wasn't serving them?
You know how the universe works, Carissa. I know you and I share this philosophy in that when the world shut down, it forced people to isolate, right? And in turn, in that isolation, they got to spend time with themselves, their thoughts, their essence, and to determine if they were in alignment, if they were happy, if they were content in the direction that their life was going. I think that happened. It doesn't matter where you were living at that time during the isolation of COVID. I think a lot of people did some internal reflection work.
Mm-hmm. And so maybe it was healing, or maybe it was traumatizing for people, whatever it might be. It was an awakening for people.
Whether we asked for it or not, right?
Right. Well, how do you feel we can heal and bounce back from this stress if we're experiencing stress or burnout in our lives?
I think that's a legitimate question. And for the listeners, I want to start by acknowledging that when we are going about our day-to-day activities, it's not uncommon for us to take on other people's energies. Now, what I mean by that is that a person can look at another individual in need and want to be the caretaker and to hold that energy so that the other person has an easier transition in life. Or
I've heard that, like a lot of people, maybe they're empaths. And so that's how they feel they can help another person is take on their energy.
Right. And that comes from they perceive as an empath. I'm happy to talk about that, but the empaths have a tendency of overextending their second chakra so that they can absorb this energy into their system as if it is their own.
And what's the second chakra?
The second chakra is located just below the navel. Okay. So you're dealing with the pelvic bowl. Okay. And essentially the themes revolving underneath the second chakra are all about creativity or creation. And obviously, because of proximity, the second chakra is intimately connected into the reproductive system. So we can, in turn, create another person, another spirit in this world, or we can, as empaths, hold the space for other people. Now, I know that the intention of an empath is to be, they want to believe that everybody is positively inclined and that they're doing this to be of support to another person. But what they don't realize is that they are then robbing the other person of their own personal journey. So there's a difference between being empathic, coming from the second chakra, versus coming from truly a state of compassion, which comes from the heart center.
Yeah. And you're creating that boundary, that spiritual boundary, which is important. Got it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So when I'm dealing with somebody who is holding space for another person, or their biofield has been violated, whether it be just due to the relationships at work or the interpersonal relationships at home, or trauma that they may have withstood within their early childhood, it shows up as leaks or holes or tears within the biofield. And essentially, what ends up happening is that it depletes the container of the person's life force energy. Now, all of us have access to our life force energy. It's our personal vivifying signature. Like, Carissa, when you walk into a room, you light up a room. If you're walking into an environment that's a social gathering, a party, people begin to feel Carissa before she walks into the room.
Interesting.
And then when Carissa's energy adds into the blend of all the other energies, right? We intuitively know, it's like our spider senses know, hey, this is a person I'm going to go talk to this person. I like their vibe. Or perhaps I'm not resonating with this person. I think I'll stand over here and keep my distance.
Or maybe they have like a block and you can kind of like spiritually sense that. And I'm so curious about this, what you said about they can sense a person's arrival before they come. Is that because we're all psychic and we're thinking like that person that's arriving I'm breaking this down, is thinking about arriving there and everyone else is like anticipating it spiritually.
I believe that the biofield has weight.
Okay.
And so when a person is intending to walk through the threshold of the front door, their energy field precedes them,
Oh,
as
got
they
it.
enter
It's the
into the
field.
physical space. Yes.
Okay, got it. It's the field. Okay, got it. Right there. Oh,
Yeah.
beautiful. Okay, I see.
So going back to your original question about
Mhm.
burnout, my
Yeah.
definition of burnout is essentially where you feel depleted, like
Mm.
you're running on empty. You don't
Hmm.
have your own personal reserve of being able to connect with the earth energy, to generate your life force energy, to run Kundalini energy within your system. And if that goes on long enough and you're unable to actively engage within the grounding process of the first chakra, then what ends up is that inevitably the adrenal system, the endocrine gland associated with that energy system, starts to react. And unfortunately, there is a biochemical process, a negative feedback cycle that happens within the adrenal system where you're getting too much cortisol, not enough epinephrine, norepinephrine, or DHEA. So the
Wow. You're really
energetic
breaking this
system,
down for us. I love that.
yeah, this is how I view, and again, this is a unique perspective in that I view the energetic body as it gives us information to the physical body,
Okay.
and then how it gets stored and transferred within the central nervous system.
Okay. So then how can we heal from that stress? Are you talking about supplements? Are you talking about healing or awareness?
The process that I walk my patients through and to hold space for others in their discovery process is a reclamation.
Mm.
And so they get to listen internally within a meditation or an expanded state to sense, to feel, to know where there may be some weaknesses within their biofield and also misalignments within the chakra system. So once an individual understands and receives this information, then by setting intention and healing, we can alter the makeup of these energy systems and we can repair the biofield. So it's like layers of an onion.
I see.
Right. At least the biofield is, I should say.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's what I talk about healing also, that if your body is or your spirit is not necessarily ready to heal, it could be a few layers underneath that really needs to be healed, but you have to get to the other layers first. So I do talk about that, like layers of an onion.
Yeah.
That
Yeah. And Carissa, you and I speak the same language. We may not use the same words at all times, but the essence is still the same. And so as we are born and incarnated into our physical home, we have essentially a blueprint. There is a predestined makeup that we come into this world. And it is through time and repetition that the environment then interferes with the biofield, right? The different layers of the biofield. And in some level, we have to allow this to happen. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to violate our field.
Okay.
And then eventually what happens, just as you were saying, of the energy system, there's higher vibrations further away from our physical body. And then as we get closer to the physical body, the density increases. So the physical body oftentimes is the last to respond to energy medicine.
Oh, that is so cool. I'm just like getting caught up in the visuals of this. How you explained it is so perfect and understandable. And yeah, so it's funny because sometimes I did a healing for someone And they said, oh, it didn't work for me. I didn't feel it. But it was in their energetic field. And also my energy stayed with them, and I didn't even realize that, which is not healthy and not healthy healing. And so I had to call my energy back to that. So it really makes sense what you're saying about the biofield. And I love that.
And ultimately, it is I want to support all those that we hold space for their own healing and transformation. It's up to the other spirit to be embodied in the process.
Yeah.
So
it's a team effort. It's a team effort, right?
Yeah. My belief system is that as we facilitate energetic healing, we create an entrainment. And I'm very clear, and I know you are as well, Chris. I think we talked about this in your podcast, in that the intention is not to merge with the other energy system or spirit that we're working with, but to hold sacred space. And so there is an energetic entrainment, but no merging.
Yeah.
So it's never our responsibility to do the healing for the other person. Our job, if you will, or our gift, more like, is to hold the space for them to assimilate in their own healing journey.
In their own healing. Yeah, that makes sense. So you're creating this field of unconditional love, of healing. You're setting the intention, and that other person is participating. Ultimately, it's up to them to heal.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
That's so beautiful.
And it's always, it is. And I'm so humbled to be part of it. Meaning that it's a sacred space. And to be able to greet another person, spirit to spirit, is a blessing. Yes. A blessing that I do not take lightly, nor do you. It's that opportunity to allow that spirit to communicate to you in whatever intuitive ways that you receive that information, to be of support as you relay that information on to the other person for their healing journey.
Well, I think it's wonderful that you said it, that because we can really feel your heart and your gratitude for the work that you do and for your clients to be able to connect with them on that level. So I do think it's important to say it out loud and to really claim that. And because it's just so beautiful, everything that you're doing, the work that you're doing.
Oh, I appreciate you saying that, but I also want to be completely transparent and say that whenever I support another spirit in a healing, I get a healing. Oh,
no, that's a good point. And I want to mention something related to that, because I've worked with other healers and psychic mediums. If you're not feeling healed or energized, it may be time to look at the way you're healing, and like what Dr. Mary was saying about entanglement and keeping those boundaries. So being clear on that is really important. But yes, I am the same way. I am super energized and have so much joy after a healing. It's incredible.
There's a high that comes with it. And, quite honestly, listeners, it's pretty addictive too. So yes. It's always my honor to hold space. And I was also going to mention that as someone that is holding energetic space for another person or a spirit, it is truly our responsibility to maintain energetic hygiene. Yeah. And so we get to ground off any discordant energy which doesn't belong to us. We get to gift back to the client who's receiving the energy that, the time that is shared. We get to neutralize our field to the best of our ability through detoxifications, through breathing exercises, and plenty of water. That is something I take very seriously as somebody that holds space for another person. It's my responsibility. Otherwise, I may be bringing something to the table that doesn't necessarily serve the other person.
Oh, I love that. And that's incredible. It's so true. As healers, it's our responsibility to stay grounded and to have our own healing as well. So thank you for saying that. I'd love to dive into your own journey. Would you share your own journey of healing and what led you to what you're doing now?
Yes, Carissa, I have to share with you that I wish that I thought that I was in control of my journey, but I absolutely was not in control. Meaning that when I look at it, one would have thought that it'd be nice and clean and linear. However, it is anything but that. Anything but that. So, first I'll share with the listeners that at an early age, at the age of 25 was when I graduated from chiropractic school. And I came straight out of school into business for myself. So there were a lot of lessons.
That's impressive.
I don't know if it's impressive or borderline stupid, because literally there was so much I did not know at that time. All I knew is that I had an acute sense of psychometry, of being able to read other people's energies through my hands.
Oh, you could do that back then. That's amazing.
Yeah. Well, if you want to even go back further, I wasn't going to say, well, let me start when I was 3 years old, but it was actually, I was born, I chose to come into this lifetime being hearing impaired. And so my hearing capacity is 50% what the normal person hears. And I went undiagnosed within the first 3 years of my life. And so I spent 3 years, Carissa, playing in this spiritual domain. You know, that veil, that thin veil of being here physically on the earthly plane, and that thin veil that then, we transfer into the spiritual domain. That's where I lived. I lived because that's where I received the information, my intuition.
Oh, okay.
I didn't get my information from necessarily my environment. Now, I did in a very empathetic way, right? Out of necessity, because I couldn't physically hear. I learned at a very young age how to blow open my second chakra and care for those within my immediate environment, because I couldn't physically hear what was going on, but I certainly was connected to feeling what was going on.
Yeah. And maybe that sensation or that gift was heightened because you couldn't hear.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that was my choice. That was my choice,
Yes.
Coming into this physical world. And oftentimes when somebody is clairsentient, meaning that they feel other people's feelings, or they feel a room or emotions of other people, they also are blessed with the same energy line of the expression of psychometry, of being able to open the energy centers within their hand. Okay. So
Cool.
I know.
I'm in awe.
So imagine here I am at 3 years old. I can't hear my environment, right?
Yeah.
But I loved to have my hands on my family. Like I couldn't touch them enough.
Yes.
And so I knew at a very, very young age that I was going to have my hands on people. I just knew.
Yeah, because you just couldn't help it. And
couldn't help it.
Yeah.
So as life goes on, I chose to, because I knew that I had to desensitize myself on some level in order to make it through this physical world with my human family. So I chose to desensitize myself, and I had spontaneous, even, in my adolescence and in my teenage years, I had spontaneous clairvoyance or spontaneous direct knowing, or I had spontaneous intuitive information move through me.
Oh,
Stuff
wow.
that I shouldn't have known. I shouldn't have known these things.
Yeah.
And so
you came in as just an incredible psychic, intuitive healer. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's a blessing. It's a gift. I don't know how to operate any other way.
Yeah.
So I just assumed everybody received this kind of information. So I knew I excelled. I came from a family that really was in support of the academic overachieving. So I knew that if I just kept my head down into my books, that I would excel academically.
Yeah.
Both of my parents were educators.
Which
So
you did, it sounds like.
I did. I did. And if I do something, it's going to be 110%. So I went a little overboard. In my undergraduate years, I studied chemistry and zoology. And then 3 days after my undergraduate degree is when I ended up in chiropractic school.
3 days.
So 3 days, 3 days, no rest.
Wow.
No rest.
But you're naturally, was studying, did it come easy for you, or did you have to work harder?
I was a good student.
You're a good student.
I was a really good student because I had to listen. This was before the time that I was comfortable sharing with other people that I had a hearing impairment. So my eyes were glued onto the professor. I was a diligent note taker. I just was organized. That's just how I ran my energy.
Yeah.
So I find myself in chiropractic school, and all of a sudden they're talking about healing yourself from above, down, inside out. They're talking about innate intelligence. They're talking about reading and feeling information through your hands.
That's amazing. You're like, these are my people.
I'm like, these are my people. This is my tribe. This is where I'm supposed to be, right? I didn't know. I did not know. All I knew is that I stayed focused for 3.5 years, and I graduated at the age of 25, and I went and I started my own business. And so from there, things just escalated rather quickly. And so through the trials and errors, I made more errors than successes. I just kept at it and developed into a very thriving practice. Mm-hmm. And to make a long story short, I lost myself in that process. And I lost my original intention to be of service for healing for other people. I turned into a very focused businesswoman.
Yeah. And so how successful was that for you?
Oh, I crashed. I absolutely crashed.
Oh.
I failed at it. I mean, and this was after 22 years. Okay. So I was,
oh my God. I mean, that's like, so what did you build your business to? Can I ask, like, how successful were you? Like 7-figure business or?
Well, let's just say that I had a kind of a mothership. I have a 5,000 square foot freestanding facility. I had a high volume practice.
Wow.
So I was treating out of 4 treatment bays. And then if that wasn't enough, then I started consulting. And if that wasn't enough, I opened a second business. And so then I had a staff of 4 different physicians. I had a staff of 12 support people. I was working for an overhead, and I was working for other people. I did not find joy in it. It was not fulfilling to myself. However, from the outsiders' perspective looking in, they were like, wow, how does she do that? How does she do that? That's pretty impressive. And in reality, I was struggling. I was really struggling. I started to self-medicate with food, with sugar, with alcohol. And I just literally, I crashed. I crashed super hard. I ignored the symptoms, the signs, the signals that my body was giving to me.
I see.
And I kept ignoring them and kept ignoring until my body said, time out. And by the way, time out, you are flatlined. You can't do anything. I ignored all the symptoms and the signs until I was completely depleted within my adrenal system.
Oh, wow.
What
did that look like? You couldn't exercise, you couldn't get out of bed, or what?
All of it.
All
of it. At that time, I was seeing a pretty progressive integrative physician at that time who had the knowledge base of intravenous injections, who was able to feed the necessary nutrients and to repair my gut lining and to really hold space for me during that whole crisis. And so my job literally was to heal. And so the requirements were that I couldn't exercise, I could go to work, I had a modified schedule, and then I could come home and rest. And during that time, I did not do that gracefully. I mean, I did listen, I did follow instructions, but that was so hard for me to not like be going, 110%.
Yeah.
And it was a journey. And Carissa, I would be lying to you and the listeners if I didn't say it took me several years.
Yeah.
And then kind of like my husband sat me down one night and kind of had a come to Jesus talk, like.
So you met someone and fell in love during this time.
I did. And somehow, some way, he just was like, he accepted me for who I was, all my strengths, and more importantly, all my weaknesses. He saw me going downhill before I openly acknowledged to myself. And he came to me and it was very sincere. And he was like, look, I'm concerned that if you don't consciously make different choices, your illness is going to become even more severe, or our relationship will suffer. And it was true. I was not a very good person to connect with energetically. I was looking for energy wherever I could find it because I was so depleted and I was so filled. My biofield was so filled with other people's energies. I was one of those alternative practitioners who I could walk into the room and say, that's fine. If you're not feeling well today, I'll help you. I'll carry it. And I never knew how to mutually separate from my patients and energetically reclaim what is rightfully mine. Tough journey.
Yeah.
That mutual separation and reclaiming what is rightfully yours. Listeners, I don't know what your background is, but if you are in the service industry in any way, shape, or form, if you hold space for other people, if you have children, if you care for the elderly, or you have aging parents, please learn how to mutually separate so that you can have a separate identifiable container that is yours. And then with Carissa's advice, you can learn how to build up the necessary triad of healing energy to build yourself up from the outside in, inside out.
Oh, I'm so glad that you said that. Thank you so much for recommending that you reach out. I was going to say the same about you. Reach out to Dr. Mary for this help if you're a practitioner, because, I just want to say it's not every healer that talks about this. In fact, you're like only the second healer that I've met that distinguishes this. And it seems like the most important thing. I'll just have to say it because, and so do you do that? Do you train people? Okay, great.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. The first thing that I learned, maybe the second thing that I learned at the Academy of Intuition Medicine, and I wish sincerely, Carissa, that I would have learned it back at 21 when I first entered into chiropractic school. So you know how fate works. So when I finally had that come to Jesus conversation with my husband, I made that decision to consciously leave the businesses, leave the home, leave my possessions, leave everything behind.
Oh, wow. But not your husband.
Not my husband, because he motivated me to move to Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam.
Oh my God. I'm sorry. That is wild. You've got a story there. Yeah. You got to make this a movie. I want to watch this movie.
Let me tell you, I woke up on literally the other side of the world. Excuse me.
Yeah. Ho Chi Minh City.
I woke up on the other side of the world and I went through this like identity crises. I didn't know who I was, what I stood for, what's my purpose, what's my identity, how do I show up in this world? I was like, I have no idea who I am if I'm not Dr. Mary with a physical brick and mortar space that identifies to other people what I do for a living.
Yes.
I was so depleted and I was scared. I was so scared.
Yeah.
That
to find a new identity or to realize who you were. Right.
Right. And so what ended up happening, and so I would have been Let's say I'm really bad with dates. So I would have been early 40s.
Okay.
And so I left my husband in Ho Chi Minh City. I ran away and I went to Bali, Indonesia, and I spent a month doing my YTT. And so here I am.
But you didn't leave the relationship, right?
No,
it was
no,
just you were going like, yes.
I needed a sense of autonomy. I needed to reclaim my sovereignty. I needed to have like a better understanding as to who and what my energy system was all about. So by going to Bali, I spent a month there and I was doing my YTT. So I was able to focus on my asana practice and somewhere
yoga teacher training for those that don't know YTT. And I love Bali too. There's something very spiritual about that, the land and the place.
Yeah. And I talked about this earlier. The veil, because Bali specifically as an island is Hindu based in a Muslim country, historically the traditions are very rich and ripe. So their culture is ingrained with the rituals and the spirituality of Hinduism. And so literally that is one place in the world that we went back to live there for over a year later in the story, but that's another place in which that veil between the physical and the spiritual world is so thin. So sacred, beautiful place. Unfortunately, it's going through its hardships now with the mainland trash coming into the shores, and it's hard for them to manage. So Bali is not the romantic, clean, pristine, lush environment that everybody has within their mind.
Okay.
So now back to the story. I came back from Bali to Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam, and I got heavy into meditation.
Okay.
And
you could find it there, like in Ho Chi Minh City, or did you do it like online or on your own?
Yeah, I did it online. Okay. And I did it on my own because I never really had the time to explore what meditation was all about.
Okay.
But I have to tell you, final Shavasana is my favorite corpse pose at the favorite time, at the end of the yoga practice that I get to play with my own energy system. And what I realized that yoga, because I've been doing it since I was 20, has always been my self-regulating tool that calms the mind and allows me to turn my reflection internally. So it was within this space when I came back to Ho Chi Minh City, I'm like, well, heck, I got all this time. I might as well, do some self-improvement stuff. And that's when I started the meditation practice. And I was not a good meditator, just wasn't good at it. I literally, if it was a body scan, I literally would be sleeping before I got to my ankles. Like a body scan, for those of you that are not familiar with it, like literally starts, at oftentimes they start at the feet or the crown of the head, and they walk you through your system.
Right. So that's like Vipassana meditation. That's the type of meditation I learned and do. Right.
Yeah. And so I just didn't have the patience, and I didn't have the ability to focus. And so what do? You fall asleep, right?
That's true. But falling asleep can be healing during a meditation. I mean, even though you say, you're not good at it, maybe you had to go through that, to get to the other side. I'll just share for me too. I mean, I don't even know if I could do a meditation for a minute. I started off with Wayne Dyer's Getting in the Gap. He had this CD and I think it was 2 minutes. And I was like, yay, I got through it.
I believe it was Wayne Dyer who introduced the idea of using vocal energy of an inhalation and the exhalation. And it was in that gap between the inhalation and the exhalation was the profound inward reflection of the meditation. If my memory serves me correctly.
No, that's right. And you explained it perfectly. And I just forgot that part. But I just remember that I started with him.
Yeah. And I went through that. I tried, you talk about Vipassana. I tried probably 3 classes I went back to the same class, the same coursework 3 different times. And the teacher would see me come in the front door and she's like, you still haven't graduated yet, have you? And I'm like, no, I haven't. This is super hard for me. So, but something really magical happened during that phase of my life. I really started to see, experience, and feel the benefits of meditation. So I was like, wow, okay, so let me get this right. I now know the body extremely well from the neck on down due to my chiropractic training. And then I'm like, hey, what's happening in the space between the ears? And it was from there that led me to study with Dr. Tal Ben Shahar at the Wholebeing Institute for my positive psychology training. And the reason, Carissa, that I selected him was because I knew that part of the curriculum was the neuroscience behind meditation. So I was going to finally
I love that. That's incredible.
So I was finally going to get my intellectual capacity as to like what really happens within the brain during meditation. And so then once I learned all of that information, I quickly forgot it. And I say that kind of jokingly because experientially, I was more driven to the benefits of meditation for myself.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting too, I just wanted to say is that the research that people are doing about groups meditating and how it changes the frequency of the city. So it's interesting. Yes, we're all connected, but when we meditate together or we have like some kind of intention, there's also a frequency and vibration that gets elevated and can reduce the crime in a city. I know Malcolm Gladwell did research on that.
It is fascinating. I use the insight timer for my daily meditation, not to listen to guided meditations, but just for the timer.
Oh, the timer.
Yeah. So I set the timer and then the gong goes off. And then however many minutes later, the gong goes off again. And I know that I'm done. So I don't have to consciously be thinking about time. But one of the benefits, it will tell you how many people you were meditating with. So and so I love that kind of collective frequency. Yeah, knowing that I just meditated with how many people throughout the world.
Oh, that's so cool! I love that. Well, do you feel? Do you have more to share of your story?
You know what? I could go on with my story.
Okay,
I'll share one more part, and this.
I wanted to make sure that was.
So, with the positive psychology training, my husband and I started a nonprofit organization to teach teachers how to embody the tools of positive psychology, including meditation, including yoga, so that they could be more mindfully present in their classrooms. And at that time, we left Southeast Asia and we moved to Colombia, Bogota, Colombia. And so,
wow, how did you decide on these places?
Again, I'm not in control.
Yeah.
So here we are creating this curriculum, right? And it's going off really well. As fast as I can create it in English, it's being translated into Spanish.
Oh, wow.
And so I don't speak fluent Spanish, but I was doing the bulk of the content development. So this went over really well. And we stayed in Bogota, Colombia. We were there for, I believe, 2 years. And then I kept knowing that this was wonderful, what we were creating, but it wasn't like my ultimate. There's still something missing, something that I'm supposed to step into.
Right.
And two things happened that were crucial. The first was the death of my mother, which we talked about in your, and when you were a guest on my podcast. She passed away from non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Right. And I was living in Ho Chi Minh City when that happened. And then when I was living in Bogota, Colombia, my sister passed. And my sister was 6 years older than me. And she passed as a direct result of overuse of alcohol and drugs.
Oh, wow.
So I got to experience some incredible experience, like within the sense of my embodiment, what it's like to sever energetic cords and how cording actually happens energetically. And so my appreciation of this was heightened. And at this time, I said, I need to go and better understand what this is all about. that led me to go study under Dr. Francesca McCartney at the Academy of Intuition Medicine. It was during that program that I was able to blend all of my strengths, all of my knowledge, to learn to hold space for another person in an expansive way, and to start receiving intuition and literally be able to use it as medicine in supporting another person. So that completes the whole circle. I wish that it was more linear, but it is absolutely not.
But I love how this travel came in. I mean, you're like, I don't know. I mean, maybe your husband was inspired and he's like, let's go here. And then you just trusted.
I was at that point what we call a trailing spouse, and I hate that term, but literally I was, because he was a director at international schools. Yeah, I followed him. And so the thought of living in Ho Chi Minh City, I would have never, ever have placed myself in a town, a city of millions of people. Just was not part of my MO.
Yeah.
I was raised in Illinois. I was kind of like a farm girl.
Yeah.
And then, when I lived in Colorado Springs, I lived up in my cabin in the mountains. I was not a person that liked to be surrounded by millions of people, just not part of my makeup.
Yeah.
That's what we did.
Oh my gosh. I see. Yeah. Because of your husband's job. Wonderful. Well, it sounds exciting to me. I know it wasn't like your choice, but I actually like big cities and different places. I find it exciting. The energy. It has a pulse to it.
It does. And Carissa, if truth be told, I would not trade those 10 years of living internationally for anything.
Yeah.
Now, because the life experiences were priceless, absolutely priceless, to have the opportunity to live in another culture.
Yes.
And to be a guest and to witness their sacred ceremonies and how they do life and their holidays and how they, it's just an honor to be part of it. So
I agree.
I wouldn't trade it. I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Yes.
Now reintegrating back into the United States, that was challenging.
Okay. Oh, got it. Yeah. How long ago was that?
Let's see. We've been back in the States, I think 3 years now.
Oh my gosh. It doesn't, not that long.
No, I've been here in Boulder now 2 years.
Okay. Okay. Wonderful. Where did you come back to?
You are asking the right questions. We struggled. I did not want to come back. But this was at the time of COVID, and we were slated to start a new school in downtown London. So we hung out in London as long as we could. And then we're like, okay, we're heading back to the States. And I said, well, Colorado Springs is no longer my home. So how are we going to do this? We want a diverse, open-minded, alternatively forward-thinking city. So we checked out Portland, Oregon. We checked out San Francisco, Austin, Texas. We thought about Asheville, North Carolina, and we ended up in Boulder.
Wow, that's amazing. Okay. So going back to what it's like to work with you, would you share how a session would work, an energy medicine session would work? And you could give an example of one of your clients or hypothetical, whatever you'd like.
Okay. So for starters, there's an intake form that literally goes through a review of systems. It goes through the entire body. It goes through your medical history. It goes through your medications, your nutrients, your surgeries, everything that I need to know in order to be of support to you. So I look through and scan that information prior to connecting with you on the phone. And then I listen in a very receptive state to find out what is it that you are looking to achieve. What is up for you in your world that can be energetically related that we might be of service to. So then we go through a guided meditation, and that guided meditation is just purely for the intent of creating the entrainment frequency and to ground, to increase the depth and the width of the grounding so that when I hold space energetically, can connect with that other spirit. So then I ask the person who's receiving the healing if they would like me to lift the veils for a reading and a healing. And at that time, I've never had anybody decline me the opportunity, but they sign in. They give me the authorization to read their system. And so they sign in by stating their first, middle, and last name. And then at that time, I'm literally sitting on the other side of the computer with my hands up, facing out towards the person and being able to connect into their field.
So that might be online or in person. You do both?
I do online.
Only online.
And the reason, and I've tried it in person, and what I have learned is that I hold better space when I am in the confinements of my own personal space, and I can blow out my energy system without having to be concerned for another person's well-being.
Yeah.
Because I can go bigger and faster without another person within my physical space.
I agree. I feel similar. Go ahead.
Yeah. So then I'm opening my hands and asking their spirit, after we greet spirit to spirit, how can I be of service? How can I support that other person, that other spirit? Show me what needs to be acknowledged. And so literally I sit back and receive intuitive information. My strengths in receiving intuition are my psychometry, my clairsentience, which is just being able to perceive the other energy, my clairvoyance, which is being able to see out of the sixth eye. I see very abstractly. And then last but not least is the direct knowing. So I receive messages and I'm just a conduit to passing on that information. What I see, sense, and feel is not information for me. It is intended for the other person. And so then we go through. It all depends. Each person is different. But essentially, I will glance to see if there are any other people's energies. If so, we ground them out. I look at their environment to see if there's any discordant energy. If so, we ground them out. Then I'm able to get a better read as to the container, the biofield that is then that specific spirit that I am supporting. It is from there that I begin to read the chakra system as it relates to the endocrine gland, as it relates to the function of the central nervous system. Now, I'll provide an example. For example, female patient, maybe in her mid-60s, who is going through a divorce and is dealing with type 1 diabetes. And so then what I know after looking at the system is that there is no delineation within the expression of the third chakra. And the front side of the third chakra, which is all about autonomy, sovereignty, control, individuation, being able to metabolize energy. And so I see a softness in the front. And in the back side, which typically represents energy that we didn't contractually agree to, I see that the back side is squished or compromised or corded. And so then I'm able to tie in the endocrine system associated with the third chakra being the pancreas. And so diabetes is a direct result of an imbalance hormonally within the pancreas itself. So by altering the energy center of the third chakra and strengthening the borders and the integrity of that energy system, and then balancing the endocrine system, then we can then program a different emotional response within the physical body. Hugely transformative.
Yeah, that's amazing. So how many sessions does it typically take to heal?
That's legitimate. So I know that when somebody is new to energy medicine and they are new to me, they will know after one session if they intuitively want to work with me or not.
Right. And they'll see, keep going.
And then what ends up happening is that I typically make a recommendation of 6 treatments.
Yeah.
And the reason that I make this recommendation has been my professional experiences within that amount of time that we will then have made an impact on the physical level of the human structure.
Oh, and that goes back to what you were saying before about how the healing affects the biofield and then gets to the physical. Beautiful. Because I recommend 3 sessions for the same reason when working with me. So that's really fascinating. I've learned so much about how you work with people. I have another question. What is Zen success to you?
Zen success. Wow. My definition of success overall metamorphosizes daily. It absolutely does. I'm not trying to be evasive with your question.
You could be, what is it today?
Oh, today, because my focus is success, is true physical, energetic, and spiritual embodiment.
Wow. That is powerful. And you said that with such conviction that I believe it to be true. So what's next for you? Do you want to talk about the retreat you have coming up or anything else that you'd like
Chris, I appreciate you asking. The international retreat that my co-facilitator and I host, her name is Kathleen Wazalewski, is my happiness place. It
Beautiful.
It is.
I love it.
Because everyone is removed from their physical environment, their daily stressors, and the influence then becomes all about the people that are at the retreat. And there's something that really happens, a magical that happens in that we start the morning with a short kind of vinyasa type practice, and then we move into an hour and a half talking specifically about energy medicine. And so we're teaching the principles and the tools of how to cleanse and to charge and to regulate one's own energy systems for healing. And so we teach how to run the triad of healing energy so that then they can continue that process on their own when they leave the retreat. And then we commingle throughout the day. Everybody's got flexibility in their schedule. And in the evening, we come together for a yin-based practice. And so the intention with combining yoga with the energy medicine is to use the asana practice to create the space within the physical and energetic body so that we can then create the energy of reclamation to fill up. And I am speechless when I say to hold space for a group of primarily women, and I think this year will be 100% women, in this journey for a full 7 days is one of the most priceless experiences that I get to participate in. Amazing.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing. It's been such a pleasure getting to know you, hearing your incredible story. And, just being on your podcast and how you do healing. It's just, you kind of blew me away today. I don't know if you knew that, but I'll put your website and how to connect with you in the show notes. So thanks for being on my show today, Dr. Mary.
Carissa, I just want to say before we go our separate ways, it's always my honor to connect with you as an individual. I honor your beauty and your spirit. So thank you for being you.
Thank you.
That's it for today's episode of Zen Success. Head on over to iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, or wherever you listen to shows. Subscribe to the show and share with friends. Be sure to head on over to ZenSuccessShow.com to help you on your Zen success journey. And join us on the next episode. May you find your own Zen success in life.
Since 2011, American Giant has been making everyday clothing with extraordinary effort. Not in far-off factories, but right here in the USA. We obsess over fabrics, fit, and details, because if you're going to wear it every day, it should feel great and last for years. From the cut of a hoodie to the finishing of a seam, nothing is overlooked. Our supply chain is tight-knit and local, which means less crisscrossing the country and more care in every step. The result is durable clothing, t-shirts, hoodies, sweatpants, and denim that become part of your life season after season. This isn't fast fashion, it's clothing made with purpose by people who care as much about how it's made as how it fits. Get 20% off your first order with code STAPLE20 at American-Giant.com. That's 20% off your first order at American-Giant.com with code STAPLE20.